All right, let's dive in. Today, we're going to talk about unlocking the incredible power that's sitting right between your ears. We are talking, of course, about your brain, and we're going to explore the actual science of how you can use it to learn better, faster, and maybe even enjoy it a little more. You know, think about it for a second. All through school, we're just handed books, subjects, and a ton of facts to memorize. We're constantly told what to learn. But how often does anyone actually stop and teach us the most important skill of all? How to learn in the first place? Well, today we're going to try and fix that. First, we'll talk about this learning gap. Then we're going to compare your brain to a supercomputer. It's pretty wild. After that, we'll uncover the secret of what's physically happening when you learn. Then we'll get into some practical tools to boost your brain power. And finally, we'll hit on the amazing fact that your brain is not fixed. So let's start with that learning gap. For generations, we've been relying on study habits like cramming all night or just rereading our notes over and over. And yeah, they feel productive, but modern neuroscience shows they're actually pretty inefficient. We now know there are way more powerful ways to learn that actually work with our brain's natural wiring, not against it. And to get how to learn better, we first really need to appreciate the sheer power of the hardware we're all working with. Seriously, you might be shocked to see how this incredible biological machine stacks up against our very best technology. So, to put your brain's power into perspective, let's put it head-to-head with one of the fastest machines humans have ever built, IBM's Summit supercomputer. You're going to want to see this comparison. Okay, the difference in efficiency here is just astounding. The Summit supercomputer, it takes up the space of 2 basketball courts. Your brain fits neatly in your hands. Summit needs enough power to run a small city. Your brain runs on the same power as a dim light bulb. It is an absolutely incredible piece of biological engineering. So, okay, let's talk pure speed. The Summit can perform a quadrillion operations per second. That's a 1 with 15 zeros after it. I mean, that is a truly mind-boggling number. It's the peak of our technology right now, but how does our own biology compare? And here it is. Your brain is estimated to perform 1 quintillion operations per second. That is 1,000 times more powerful than one of the world's fastest supercomputers. And it does all of that while using less energy than the laptop you might be watching this on. So we have this ridiculously powerful tool in our heads, but how does it actually learn? Well, it's not magic, it's a physical process. Every single time you learn a new skill or a new fact, your brain physically changes. Okay, so this is the crucial point. Learning is all about connection. It's the simple act of one brain cell, which is called a neuron, reaching out and literally forming a new physical path to another one. A memory isn't some abstract idea, it's a real physical network inside your head. And to really understand the scale of this, let's start with the basic building blocks. You have roughly 100 billion neurons. That is more than 12 times the number of people on planet Earth, all packed inside your skull. But it gets even crazier. Every single one of those 100 billion neurons has the potential to form up to 10,000 connections with its neighbors. It creates a network of just staggering complexity. So you do the math, and you get a number that's pretty hard to even wrap your head around. 100 trillion potential connections. That is the raw capacity for learning you were born with. It is, for all intents and purposes, infinite. Knowing you have a supercomputer in your head is great, but how do you actually use it? Okay, let's get into some practical, science-backed techniques that you can start using today to learn way more effectively. So your brain has 2 basic modes. Focus mode is exactly what it sounds like, intense concentration. But then there's diffuse mode. This is a more relaxed state, like when you're out for a walk. It's where your brain works in the background, making creative connections. The real key is to switch between them. Focus hard for about 25 minutes, then take a 10-minute break to let your diffuse mode kick in and consolidate what you just learned. And hey, what's one of the best ways to get into that diffuse mode? Exercise. Just look at the difference in brain activity here. A simple 20-minute walk floods your brain with oxygen and all these great neurochemicals that get it primed and ready to form new connections. It literally gets your brain ready to learn. You've also got to fuel your brain correctly. It's an incredibly hungry organ. Foods that are rich in things like antioxidants and omega-3s, like the stuff you see here, they help protect your neurons and provide the essential building blocks for your brain cells, letting it fire on all cylinders. And finally, a few absolutely essential habits. Sleep is non-negotiable. That's when your brain cleans itself out and hardwires your memories. Also, multitasking? It's a myth. Your brain is way more effective when you focus on one thing at a time. Chronic stress is also a learning killer. And a great pro tip, tackle your hardest tasks first thing when your willpower and mental energy are at their peak. Now for what might be the most empowering idea of all. For a long, long time, people believed our brains were pretty much set in stone by the time we became adults. Science has now proven that is completely, totally wrong. Let's talk about something called neuroplasticity. Neuroplasticity just means that your brain is constantly remodeling itself based on what you do and what you think. Remember those 100 trillion potential connections? Well, neuroplasticity is the process of deciding which ones to build and which ones to make stronger. When you practice a skill, you're literally reinforcing those pathways. When you learn something new, you create entirely new ones. You are quite literally the architect of your own brain at any age. So, here's the big takeaway. You hold the keys to the most powerful device in the known universe. Intelligence isn't some fixed trait you're born with. It's about understanding this incredible tool you have and learning how to use it. The only question left is, what new connections are you going to build today?